Self-driving cars, supercomputers, cloud computing, high-level gaming, machine learning, and computer visualization is all a reality thanks to companies like the one I'm covering today. This is the newest addition to my portfolio. Without further ado, let me present to you the world-leading semiconductor company and stock market darling, Nvidia. So I like tech stocks, and especially ones boasting strong revenue and high investor optimism like Nvidia. And as for most tech investors, I'm sure, Nvidia just fits perfectly into my portfolio. And I've been in and out of the stock since 2017 when it traded below $200, but it's come to stay for good this time, I promise you. From its gaming roots to modern data centers and self-driving cars, I'll cover it all today. This is the only video you need to watch on Nvidia. Like the video, subscribe if you want to see more, drop a comment if you have any opinion or questions on Nvidia. Timestamps in the video description. Let's get going. So Nvidia entered the field back in 1993 and was started by the Taiwanese-American Jensen Huang. Now, it started out making graphic processing units, allowing computers to, for example, work in 3D for the first time. And through exclusive partnerships with the Xbox and PlayStation gaming system and a plethora of acquisitions, Nvidia took a bigger piece of the semiconductor cake and is today supplying the industry-leading chips, enabling things like data centers, computer visualization, design software, autonomous driving, medical mapping, and even has its own streaming devices. Today, Nvidia is the world-leading manufacturer and developer of graphic processing units, and they allow computers to process and generate images. And they're used in PCs, laptops, smartphone, modern cars, and smartphones. And the GPUs makes up about 85% of Nvidia's revenue, while the remaining 15% is its Tegra processors unit. Now, a Tegra processor is basically a chip where you put most of the things you need to run a computer and sell that as one piece. So they supply it for smartphones, personal digital assistants, and mobile internet devices. So maybe not your PCs and phones, but just various electrical devices that also needs to be connected to the internet. Now, Nvidia's current line of flagship products include Titan, GeForce, Quadro, data center solutions, the Shield, Jetson, cloud GPUs, AI and deep learning hardware and software, as well as self-driving chips. Now, for example, they also boast the 14 most powerful GPUs on the market. So although they have competitors, they're at the high end, they are nowhere in sight. Nvidia really showing who's the daddy in the industry. So Nvidia makes most of its money from huge companies like HP, Dell, Toshiba, Sony, and Nintendo. And they buy chips from Nvidia and Tegra processors and in turn put them into their own devices like PCs, gaming systems, or smartphones. Many big automakers as well, like Mercedes, Toyota, Volvo, Tesla, you name it, are also buying chips, but they put it in their cars so that their cars can drive themselves one day. A notable amount also comes from consumers, you or I, mostly gamers putting Nvidia chips into their PCs and laptops to get the most out of their gaming experience. And although that part has shrunk lately, it's still the major part of Nvidia's revenue. So Nvidia is currently sitting at $300 billion market cap and boasts almost $12 billion in annual revenue. The share price has surged more than 2,000% in the last 5 years alone, and revenues has almost doubled or even tripled in the same period. So Nvidia is really on a roll, and investor optimism has hit an all-time high. And as we continue our transition to digital society, I bet you that this trend will continue. And of course, I'm an investor, so I do believe the stock will keep running higher. So this story obviously hasn't played out overnight. And although Nvidia's core business of GPUs have been doing well for decades, as of late, they've been making more and more money from data centers and automakers, for example. They also make a lot of money from visualization software and their IP and OEM business. And if we look at the revenue growth for the company, from 2015 to 2020, the revenue has gone from 4.7 to 10.9 billion. Their gross profit has gone from 2.6 to 6.8 billion, and their operating income has gone from 760 million to 2.9 million. Now, if we break that down into the segments, we have gaming going from 2 billion to 5.5 billion, visualization 800 to 1.2 billion, data centers 380 to 3 billion. That's an increase of almost 850%. Its auto business gone from 183 million to 700, increase of almost 300%. And its its OEM and IP business has only gone from 1.3 billion down to 550, so a decrease of 60%. So these are obviously some stunning numbers, and together with most other investors, I'm really eyeing the data centers and auto revenue going forwards, as I think that's really what the world is craving right now. And with the recent acquisition of Mellanox, Nvidia is going deeper into the data center industry, which I think is the way to go. And they're also looking at acquiring ARM, and there's some really cool opportunities in the future for acquisitions for Nvidia. And I think data centers are the power mills and really the grid of the future. All major companies, name any big company, they need their own data centers or they need to lend them from someone else. But regardless, you need the hardware and the software to actually run these data centers. So Nvidia is really a picks and shovels play for the digitalization of the world, which has only accelerated during COVID. Nvidia's future in the auto industry can also give the company a leg up. I mean, sure, Tesla will probably go off into the sunset with their own chip, with their self-driving cars, but after that happens, every single automaker will need to develop a self-driving car. And regardless of who gets there first, they will all need the hardware to actually operate these cars. And they need chips that can process billions of impressions per second. I think it's even hundreds of billions. And can you see automakers making their own chips? Nah, probably not. So they're going to turn to Nvidia. So in this crazy race of not just being the first to self-driving cars, but getting self-driving cars at all, they're all looking to Nvidia, and they have partnered with Volkswagen, Volvo, Audi, Mercedes-Benz, and Toyota. I mean, look at that list. Now, besides this, high-end gaming has been the big revenue segment for Nvidia over decades, and I see this continuing. As games become more and more demanding on the gaming systems, the hardware will need to keep up to give you the best gaming experience. And streaming, esports, and super popular games like Fortnite, League of Legends, and Call of Duty will continue to attract new gamers, be it to mobile gaming, PCs, or gaming systems. And then again, if you want to go for that high-end performance, Nvidia is still the way to go. Right. Now, time for some more numbers. I gave you a little break from numbers here. So their operating cash flow has gone from 906 million to 4.77 billion in just 5 years. Their capital expenditures, so how much they're spending, has gone from 122 million only up to 500 million, quite small numbers. And their free cash flow has gone from 780 billion to 4.3 billion. So that's what they're left with each year after all expenses. So across the board, their balance sheet really shows no signs of weakness. And although the growth hasn't really tapered off yet, it is expected to go down quite significantly. But their cash pile has been growing. And the important thing to note about Nvidia is that they are fantastic at spending that money. So you don't have to worry about a cash pile piling up, or them having to pay out dividend, or just making boring stock buybacks. This company is making acquisitions and driving innovation, which is what you want to see. And the company has also been highly profitable. So sure, the revenue has been growing, but they've also been left with more and more money. So their gross margin is of 62% is fantastic, and their operating margin as well as their profit margin is about 26%, which is still quite high considering it's mainly a hardware company, which usually has lower margins than a software company. So this has resulted in a cash pile of about $11 billion US, which is about the same as the revenue. So even after all their acquisitions, they still have billions and billions in the bank. Now, Nvidia's competitors are plenty and quite tough. You can name AMD, Intel, Qualcomm, Xilinx, Broadcom, and the list goes on and on. But I really only consider Intel and AMD to be serious competitors to Nvidia. And the GPU market is expected to grow, so I think that the pie is big enough for all of them. And although AMD's market share has gone from like 22% to 26% over the last 4 or 5 years, I think the market is more than big enough for all of them. And you have a bit of a trifecta here with Intel, AMD, and Nvidia, sort of leapfrogging each other. One day, AMD comes out with a powerful chip, then Nvidia comes out with an even more powerful chip. So I think the competitive landscape seems very healthy. There's plenty of actors on the market, but still in this tough environment, Nvidia has been doing great for decades. So I see no reason to worry about AMD or Intel actually. And with the demand for GPUs and Tegra processors continue to surge from all parts of the economy, all over the world, any size company, they need hardware. I think Intel, AMD, and Nvidia will have their hands full trying to meet the demand. And just like we all of a sudden have self-driving cars, which needs the hardware from Nvidia, in 5 years, there might be something else that needs Nvidia's hardware. So there's always going to be these new pockets of opportunities popping up, just like we had the Bitcoin mining 2 or 3 years ago. Now we have self-driving cars. So the pie is so large, and I think Nvidia just needs to run as fast as they can. So my bet is that Nvidia in 5 to 10 years will still be the world leader in GPUs. And I see increasing demand in all the segments. Gaming, self-driving cars, and data centers, I think are all part of a secular trend of digitalization. And I think Nvidia, with their unbeaten scale and innovation and their massive taste for acquisitions, will be the first in line to meet this growing demand. And if you put a strong balance sheet and a founder CEO, as well as cutting edge innovation on top of that, you have yourself a no-brainer, ladies and gentlemen. This is a big US tech company with strong growth, strong management, strong innovation. They're in a secular trend. They have a great brand. I think this is the full package. And together with Amazon, Microsoft, and Tesla, Nvidia will be one of my 4 or 5 staple core holdings that I will just buy for as long as I can and for as much as I can. And it's my big bet on sort of the Web 2.0, or the future of the world, because the need for software and hardware is through the roof. So I want for this video, I want to know how many Nvidia shareholders are there out there of you watching my videos. Why are you invested in Nvidia, or why aren't you? Hope you enjoyed this video. This was one of my biggest videos yet, so please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you want more, give me a topic for next video, and as always, I'll see you on that one.